This is News 25 with Deanna O'Donnell. News 25, local news you can count on. News is brought to you by J.K. Nelson Law. Call 727-9900 today for your free consultation. If you need a lawyer, you need Nelson.
Welcome to News 25. I'm Deanna O'Donnell. Today is Wednesday, August 25th. I hope you're having a great day. Well, the Nye County Sheriff's Office is seeking the public's help in finding a vehicle involved in a hit-and-run crash Tuesday evening here in Pahrump. The Nye County Sheriff's Office is investigating a crash between two vehicles that occurred last night on Highway 160 and Wheeler Pass Road. One of the vehicles, described as a beige Lincoln Town car, allegedly fled the scene of the crash shortly after impact. The other vehicle pulled into the parking lot of the Best Western Hotel. That's where Nye County Sheriff's Office made contact with that driver, as well as Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue, who were dispatched to the scene. No injuries were reported at the time of the accident. If you have any information about the vehicle that fled, you're urged to contact the Nye County Sheriff's Office at 775-751-7000. You can remain anonymous. And one person was transported to our local hospital today following a crash. Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies are investigating the cause of a two-vehicle crash that occurred this afternoon in the parking lot of KFC on Highway 372. One person complained of injuries sustained as a result of this crash. Both vehicles sustained minor damage. Pahrump Valley Fire and Rescue and Nye County Sheriff's Office deputies arrived on scene, as well as Nevada Highway Patrol. One person was transported by ground ambulance to Desert View Hospital. And Manns Elementary School here in Pahrump says that they are having individuals quarantine at home after they were exposed to an individual at the school who had a positive test result for COVID. On their website, they noted that they would like to clarify the auto call that went out to parents this morning. When an individual within a classroom tests positive for COVID, the Nye County School District is required to place that classroom or group on a 10-day quarantine. They are not placing any local schools on quarantine at this time, only individual classrooms that have been identified at that school. Well, a call for a reported sex offense leads to the arrest of a Pahrump man.
Derek Trowbridge has been booked into the Nye County Detention Center on one count of capturing, distributing, or displaying an image of a private area. Deputies were dispatched to a home on East Howey Street in Pahrump for a reported sex offense. Deputies met with a woman who told them she had received a video from a man, later identified as Trowbridge, showing her changing clothes in her room. Deputies say in the video you can clearly see the woman's private areas. Derek was not in the room with the victim during this incident and allegedly recorded her through an opening at the bottom of her bedroom door. In the arrest report, deputies say Trowbridge broke the law by knowingly and intentionally capturing the image when the victim was behind a closed door and had a reasonable expectation of privacy. The sheriff's office says officers later located Trowbridge, and under Miranda, he admitted to taking the video.
Thanks to Brad Francis for that report. Well, after this break, we'll have an update on an alleged attempted murder.
You're watching News 25, the most recognized and farthest-reaching local news in Nye County. News 25, local news you can count on.
Welcome back to News 25. The Nye County Sheriff's Office has released more information about a stabbing earlier this month on North Leslie Street here in Pahrump, including the identity of the suspect and the charges he is now facing.
Josue Rojas has been booked into the Nye County Detention Center on one count of attempted murder of an elderly or vulnerable person using a deadly weapon and one count of battery with use of a deadly weapon resulting in significant bodily harm. The sheriff's office says on the evening of August 9th, Rojas called 911 to say that he had stabbed his 61-year-old step-grandmother in the neck with the pocket knife. When deputies arrived at the home, they observed a black adult female, later identified as Rojas' step-grandmother, lying on the living room sofa, bleeding from her neck and struggling to breathe. She was flown to UMC Trauma Center in Las Vegas in critical condition. Deputies say Rojas agreed to talk with them and admitted to stabbing his step-grandmother. In the arrest report, investigators say Rojas explained that he became overwhelmed with the nasty comments she was making to him. He went on to say he got a serrated knife from his bedroom, then walked over to the victim who was lying on the sofa. Rojas told deputies he did not remember stabbing her, but once he realized his knife was in her neck, he called 911 and applied pressure to her neck as instructed by dispatchers. The sheriff's office says Rojas stated that he was having violent thoughts toward himself and others prior to the stabbing. Rojas was placed under arrest and transported to the Nye County Detention Center.
Well, Nellis Air Force Base today warned of loud explosions coming from the base between 11 a.m. and 1:30 p.m. for a planned routine event. They said that the 99th Civil Engineering Squadron detonated unserviceable munitions that are no longer safe for storage or shipment. Some disgusting and disturbing allegations against a truck driver traveling through Nye County have landed him behind bars and facing some serious charges. Brian Francis has a story.
Stephen Lathrop is under arrest and facing several charges, including child abuse with substantial bodily or mental harm, false imprisonment in domestic violence, and first-degree kidnapping. It all started with text messages from a 19-year-old man traveling with Lathrop, a truck driver, through Nevada on their way to Texas. That man messaged a friend to say his uncle had raped his 12-year-old cousin and had his cousin tied up in the sleeper compartment of the truck. That friend then called the Nye County Sheriff's Office to report what was happening and relayed photos and videos to officers allegedly showing the 12-year-old tied up with zip ties and duct tape. Thanks to a string of messages from the 19-year-old man, authorities were finally able to determine the truck's location. A deputy followed the truck as it stopped at a gas station in Beatty. At that time, the officer detained Lathrop, who was driving the truck. Deputies also located the 12-year-old boy and the 19-year-old man inside the cab. Deputies in their report say they observed a lot of bruising on the boy's face and back. Detectives arrived on scene where they spoke with Lathrop. The sheriff's office says Lathrop told deputies he put the wire ties and duct tape on the boy, who he identified as his son, because he was out of control and breaking stuff, including the truck's windshield. During the investigation, detectives contacted the friend who had been relaying details to officers. The sheriff's office says that friend provided photos and video of a boy in the sleeper compartment with his hands zip-tied behind his back, his legs duct taped near the ankles, and duct tape over his mouth. Detectives also interviewed the 19-year-old man. That man told them Lathrop had sexually assaulted and raped the 12-year-old boy the previous night at a truck stop in Sparks, and went on to tell investigators that Lathrop had hog-tied the boy because he had broken things inside the truck and wanted to get out. He also told officers Lathrop had hit the boy with a bottle, eventually breaking it on his head. Deputies say when they spoke with the boy, they could identify that he was autistic and say they had a difficult time speaking with him. The boy also told them his head hurt. After deputies advised Lathrop of his rights, he agreed to speak with them. The sheriff's office says Lathrop said he had tied up his son on 2 occasions to control him. Lathrop went on to say his wife is aware of his actions. When searching the truck, deputies also report finding a pillow on the floor that looked like it had blood on it.
Thank you so much, Brad. Well, in the recent news surrounding the United States withdrawal from Afghanistan, the Veterans Administration says it's a particularly emotional time for many veterans, as well as their family members, survivors, and caregivers. The Department of Veterans Affairs wants those affected to know that a variety of resources are available, both locally and nationally, to help those who are experiencing challenges related to the current events. They want to remind everyone that there are meetings available if you should need them. They are available virtually in Henderson and in North Las Vegas, and unfortunately, as we reported before, the clinic here in Pahrump is still closed because of those flood-related issues, and they hope to reopen soon. Well, follow-up to a story we brought you earlier this year, Nicholas Von Alst was in Nye County District Court on Monday to be heard on a plea agreement. Matthew Davis has the details.
Nicholas Von Alst was back in court on Monday, August 23rd. The attorney representing Mr. Von Alst asked for a continuance until the 27th of September in regards to his plea agreement. Nicholas Von Alst was arrested in connection with an incident that occurred on June 24th of 2020. Von Alst, along with Kyle Bickerstaff, planned to steal a pistol from a person at gunpoint. A fight occurred in the process, and the person targeted for the robbery was allegedly pistol whipped. The situation escalated into a gun battle, and the person being robbed shot Bickerstaff, who then died from his injuries. It is alleged that Von Alst was not the shooter, but an accomplice to this crime.
More news on the other side of this break.
You're watching News 25, brought to you by Mountain West Lawyer, Injury Attorneys, 727-9500. News 25, local news you can count on.
Well, data from the CDC shows childhood immunizations declined during the pandemic, which could put children at risk for diseases that are preventable with vaccines. Dr. Adam Keating, a pediatrician with Cleveland Clinic Children's, says it's never too late to catch up on vaccinations if your child missed a dose.
If they are behind, the best time for them to have gotten the vaccine is yesterday, and the next best time is today. And we do have schedules to be able to catch kids back up for the vast majority of vaccines if they've missed some.
Dr. Keating says vaccinations are usually top of mind as kids head back to school. He says certain vaccines are often mandated when entering kindergarten and 7th grade. In addition to these, he recommends parents with preteens ask about the HPV vaccine, which can prevent certain types of cancer later in life. And a flu shot is recommended for everyone over 6 months of age. This school year, for kids 12 and older, Dr. Keating also suggests getting a COVID-19 vaccine.
It really is our way out of this pandemic, and we want to protect the kids just as much as we want to protect the adults and the communities around them. Both flu and COVID vaccines, really their best use is to keep people out of the hospital and to keep from getting seriously ill.
If you have questions about immunizations your child is scheduled to receive, Dr. Keating encourages parents to call their pediatrician.
Thanks so much, Brad. Well, after a bit of a break, we're back at it for today's Save a Pet. We meet a beautiful black and white cat awaiting his new forever home. Today, we introduce you to Mr. Bigglesworth. Mr. Bigglesworth is a black and white domestic short-hair cat. He's approximately 1 year old. He is ready for adoption right now at Desert Haven Animal Society. You can give them a call to find out more about Mr. Bigglesworth or any of the other pets at Desert Haven by calling 775-751-7020, or you can look them up on Facebook at Desert Haven Animal Society, or stop on by their location at 1151 Siri Lane here in Pahrump, right off of Basin Avenue behind the Nye County Courthouse. I just love that cat. I want to take that cat home so bad. Well, the Las Vegas Convention Center will be the location for the final round of Vax Nevada Days. Prizes on Thursday, including the grand prize of $1 million. Governor Steve Sisolak's office says that the 8th and last round will total more than $2 million total in cash and tuition prizes. For the cash drawings, there will be 20 prizes of $1,000, 4 prizes of $25,000, 3 prizes of $50,000, 2 prizes of $100,000, and 1 prize of $250,000. For college tuition, there will be $25,000 prizes, 4 $20,000 prizes, and 3 $50,000 prizes. The announcements start at 6 p.m. on Thursday, August 26th. Well, the Nevada Department of Wildlife is celebrating Habitat Conservation Framework Executive Order 2021-18, signed by Governor Steve Sisolak this past Monday, August 23rd. This order, they say, seeks to reverse the long-term trend of loss in Nevada's wildlife landscapes and maintain the multitude of values they provide for our communities and wildlife species. This executive order calls for the creation of a comprehensive Nevada habitat conservation framework. The framework will engage in conservation partners, stakeholders, and local, state, and federal agencies to identify values and services provided by intact habitats. In addition, the order will evaluate threats, prioritize landscapes, and develop strategies to conserve, restore, and rehabilitate Nevada's threatened wildlife habitats. Mick Jagger, Keith Richards, and Ronnie Wood have paid tribute to their Rolling Stones bandmate Charlie Watts, who died yesterday at the age of 80. Drummer Watts, who became part of the Stones' longtime foursome alongside Jagger, Richards, and Wood, played for the band for more than 50 years. The Stones had announced earlier this month that Watts would miss the band's upcoming North American leg of its No Filter tour after undergoing a medical procedure for an unknown condition. On Tuesday, a Watts spokesperson said that Charlie had passed away peacefully in a London hospital earlier in the day, surrounded by his family. In 1962, Brian Jones formed the Rolling Stones with singer Jagger, pianist Ian Stewart, and guitarist Richards and Dick Taylor. Watts initially turned down the group's first offer to join, later conceding and playing his first gig with them in January of 1963. Nirvana is being sued for child pornography by the adult who was a baby at the time featured on the cover of their Nevermind album almost 30 years ago. Spencer Eldon is seeking not a criminal prosecution, but civil litigation after he appeared on the cover of the record's iconic artwork for alleged child sexual exploitation. The rock album's cover features Eldon, then an infant, swimming underwater while undressed, his eyes fixated on a $1 bill. The complaint, which was filed Tuesday at a federal court in California, alleges that the image was pornographic and that he has suffered lifelong damages as a result of his involvement. The 30-year-old has listed the surviving band members, the executors of the lead singer Kurt Cobain's estate, and various record labels as defendants. He is seeking $150,000 in damages from each of those defendants, plus legal costs, and alleges the defendants knowingly produced, possessed, and advertised commercial child pornography.
News 25 WeatherCam is brought to you by Lerner and Rowe Injury Attorney's Office in Pahrump. In a wreck, need a check? Call 702-877-1500.
All right, look at that beautiful sky out there. I know we've got a lot of that smoke to the west, but look at over here on the east. Beautiful skies. We'll find out more about your weather right after this break.
News 25 weather is brought to you by Dairy Council of Nevada. The splash of cream in your coffee, the dollop of sour cream on your burrito, the melted toasty cheese on your pizza. Undeniably delicious, undeniably dairy. Enjoy what's real.
Hi, good evening, Nevada. It's John Kohler from the KPVM Channel 25 Weather Studios. What a delight to catch you on a Wednesday, and we've got a beautiful weather report. As we look all up and down the map, it looks like a whole lot of 80 degrees. Actually, upper 80s from Fernley all the way down to Goldfield. Beatty breaking out at 98 degrees. Amargosa in Las Vegas, you're sporting around with about 105 degrees between you. Death Valley at 114 today, and here in the golden, dusky desert jewel of Pahrump in the Kingdom of Nye, we put it at 100 degrees as our current temperature. 101 was our high mark earlier. Sun rose this morning in all its glory and promise at 6:10. It's going to extinguish itself in a ball of desert flame at 7:20 p.m. tonight. It should be actually pretty nice looking sunset. A little smoke on the horizon. Yeah, it makes some pretty colors. Also makes it a little bit difficult to breathe. So if you're susceptible to respiratory ailments, please don't exert yourself and just take care of yourself out there. A little bit smoky. Thank you, California. As we head on into the week, what do we got? Well, a whole lot of sunshine, a whole lot of temperatures skirting around 100 to 105 degrees. Saturday and Sunday will be the high points of the week, and then we're going to be trending down till next Wednesday. Look at that, 96 degrees and some clouds coming at us in a week, so a little bit of relief if you're a fan of clouds. Wait a week. Well, we got some for you. It's coming out over here. Check that out. All right, back to the desk.
Thanks so much, John. Well, that wraps up our edition of News 25. I'm Deanna O'Donnell. We'll see you back here tomorrow night.